Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. What a game we had last night. Last night we saw the beginning of the Eastern Conference Finals. Finally, we got game one between obviously the New York Knicks, a team that hasn't been there in the last 25 years, and the Indiana Pacers, who have found themselves in the conference finals for the second straight year. A rematch of last year's second round. And what an unbelievable game we saw. If you guys did not watch it, we're going to recap it here, but my goodness, do we have a lot to talk about with that game. We're going to discuss how it all unfolded, how the Pacers went on another wild comeback in the last 7 minutes of this one, another double-digit comeback. It was just an unbelievable game. We have a lot to discuss with that one. From there, we'll also discuss what went wrong for the New York Knicks. Is this the end for the New York Knicks? Could this possibly be what we like to call a death blow to the New York Knicks in terms of their confidence, in terms of their momentum? Is this a killer shot for them? We'll discuss that as well. Also from there, we also have to preview another phenomenal game later tonight. We got game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder, or the Minnesota Timberwolves, going back into OKC for game 2 after that second half blunder, if you want to call it. I also have to issue an apology to Anthony Edwards because I definitely said some things yesterday in a way being like, oh, how did you not play so well in the second half? This, that, and the other. I apologize. I did not see your injury in the first quarter. I'm so sorry. So we'll discuss what went wrong in game. We'll discuss the keys to game 2 for both of these teams and how the Timberwolves can bounce back in game 2. We also saw SGA win the NBA MVP yesterday. The unanimous. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if it was unanimous, but winning MVP yesterday. What would it mean if we saw an SGA championship, bring a championship to Oklahoma City, Finals MVP plus regular season MVP? Does that catapult him to the best player in the NBA today? We'll discuss that as well because we have a lot to discuss with that one. And yeah, to close out the show, we'll recap the NBA rookie teams that came out a couple days ago. We didn't get a chance to talk about that yesterday. We'll talk about it today though. But so we have an unbelievable packed show for you guys as always. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But yeah, let's get right into it here. Just a little disclaimer, if I sound a little stuffy, I'll try to take care of that between breaks, but I am a little bit sick right now. So I hope you guys can bear with me on that part. I'm so sorry. But let's get into the top of the show here because, oh my God, if you guys did not see that game last night, please do me a favor. If you are not watching this live, pause the video, go to YouTube, type in highlights of this game, or just type in the last 7 minutes. Type in the ending of this game. And just watch. I've not seen a team play a better picture-perfect last 7 minutes of a game than I saw the Indiana Pacers do last night to the New York Knicks. Everyone that's saying the Knicks choked, they played awful over the last 7 minutes. What are you doing? Tom Thibodeau, why are you making these calls? This, that, and the third. Just stop. Stop that notion right there. This was not about the New York Knicks. I'm being so serious when I say this. This was not a Knicks choke job. Yes, they may have blown a 16-point lead with 7 minutes to play. I get it. If you didn't watch the game, I 100% understand how you could say they choked. But no, they didn't choke. This was not a choke. This was the Indiana Pacers playing their style of basketball, which is you have to beat us for 48 straight minutes. And if you take your foot off the gas for even a minute, that's how quick your lead can go. At 108 to 92. 108 to 92. I'm trying to remember what the score was pre-overtime. For 108 to 92 with 6.5 minutes to play. And by the time overtime rolled around, my God, why can't I find this? I'm sorry, guys. By the time overtime rolled around, it was 120 to 120. No, 125 to 125. So you're telling me a team scored 33 points over 6.5 minutes? 6.5 minutes. And you're going to blame the Knicks for that. If you guys watch the game, what the Pacers started to do in that stretch, first off, on the defensive end of the ball, they were trapping Jalen Brunson on every possession. Every time Jalen Brunson had the ball in his hands, it was Nembhard that was attacking him. It was either Nembhard with Nesmith behind, or it was Nesmith primarily guarding Brunson with Nembhard behind. But either way, it was they were doubling it. I have not seen Jalen Brunson turn the ball over as much as he did last night. And I don't even blame him, because every time it was like a pack of hyenas just jumping all over him. Jalen Brunson could not do anything about his turnovers last night. No matter what anybody says, he couldn't. He couldn't. I'm watching that game. I'm just like, he can't move. He can't go right. He can't go left. It's just like the Pacers. I have not seen. They put a straitjacket on Jalen Brunson, and you don't see him do that. 7 turnovers in a game. Tell me the last time Jalen Brunson had 7 turnovers in a game. Being labeled as the clutch player of the year, having 5 turnovers in the fourth quarter. It just doesn't happen. It plain and simple does not happen. And it comes down to the playmaking of Aaron Nesmith. It comes down to Andrew Nembhard, but specifically Aaron Nesmith. My God, Aaron Nesmith. 30 points. 30 points for an Aaron Nesmith, a player that a lot of people cast off. A player that came from Boston that a lot of people cast off. And anybody that you ask, if you ask any Celtics fan, maybe not any, because I did see a lot of people that did not like Nesmith when he was here. But at least for me, when I was watching him, I said I always liked him. He was always that tenacious, hustle, gritty type player that was always, he played very Marcus Smart-esque, going after rebounds, playing good defense, knocking down, it was his hustle and his grit back then. Then when he got to Indiana, he added his offensive game, and it soared him up to the next level. But last night, you have to give credit to where credit is due. Aaron Nesmith had hit so many clutch threes last night. 8 for 9 from three-point range. That's a big reason why the Pacers came back in this game. What was it? With under 2 minutes to play, just dribbling around into the corner with a waning shot clock, step back 3. Like, there's nothing you can do. When Aaron Nesmith when the Pacers shoot the ball the way that they did last night, there's nothing you can do. Nothing. Of course, we have to give love to Tyrese Halliburton. I'm still literally recapping the game because this is how much happened in last night's game. Tyrese Halliburton. The guy that pretty much outside of Nesmith, it was a team effort, but like the 4 guys that really set this home for the Pacers over the last 6.5 minutes were Halliburton, Nesmith, Siakam, and Nembhard. All 4 of these guys hit clutch shots. Siakam started it off with an and one going down the lane. He had multiple of those. Obi Toppin hit some crazy dunks. Nembhard hit some good threes. Obviously, Nesmith had hit some big shots. But Tyrese Halliburton was the guy every time. And the Knicks tried to pull away in this one. Karl Anthony Towns hit some massive threes. OG Anunoby was a was a man amongst boys getting into the paint. Jalen Brunson obviously was still hitting shots, but it was Tyrese Halliburton every single time the Knicks responded with a shot. Who had the ball in his hands to respond? That guy's name is Tyrese Halliburton. It was Halliburton every time, top of the key, straight on three-pointer, corner three-pointer, getting down the lane, easy layup off the glass. He still shot 4 for 12 from 3, but like, especially in the tail end of this game, he missed a bunch of threes and he airballed a couple of them, if I'm remembering correctly. But he hit some massive, massive threes down the stretch, and that's what it means to be a shooter. Shooters keep shooting. You have to keep shooting. No matter how poorly you're shooting the basketball, you must keep shooting it if you are a shooter. It's the only way. And Tyrese Halliburton sticking to his guns, and it paid dividends for him last night. Just a phenomenal game. And the last, I wish I had a little bit longer in this segment, but Halliburton pretty much sending this game in overtime off a step back three, multiple missed free throws from the Knicks. It literally just felt like 6. It would be like 6-point lead for the Knicks. Cut it down to 4. It would be 6-point lead. Cut it down to 4 if you're the Pacers. Foul. They go 1 of 2 from the line. Cut it to 3. 1 of 2 from the line. And then, obviously, Halliburton with the killer blow to tie the game to force overtime. Just a phenomenal shot, phenomenal game. I literally cannot. I'm going to take a short break just because I'm literally talking about straight Pacers right now. We have to give this. If there was a game to give 2 segments to, it's this one. And I've been doing it the last couple games now. I did it in game 1 last night. I did it over the weekend as well on Monday's show, and we were recapping game 6 of the Knicks Celtics. There's a lot to discuss these days with the conference finals, and we have to analyze both sides of the coin. We've analyzed the Pacers side. Wild comeback, defying the odds, incredibly deep team, led by Halliburton, led by Siakam, led by Aaron Nesmith being the X factor of game 1. Rick Carlisle deserves a lot of credit for his performance as well, because I believe he made some crucial adjustments over that last 6.5 minutes that put the key in the keyhole for this team. That's what it felt like. It felt like they finally not only unlocked their own offense, but they figured out their defense, how to defend Jalen Brunson, how to defend the New York Knicks as a whole. So, yeah, we have a lot to discuss either way with both of these. But I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears from the Pacers' perspective over to the New York Knicks. Was this the Knicks' best opportunity to win a game in this series? Do they have a chance to still win this series? What can they do to still win this series? I'll give my opinion, and then we'll analyze further. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on their fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to stick to Game 1. We're going to talk about the Knicks side of things. Because this is, honestly, I wanted to write that this was kind of a death blow to the Knicks. But obviously, we're on the YouTube airwaves. We got to keep it PG. Make sure we don't get any channel strikes here. This is a Knicks team that they really played. I cannot think of a better performance from a Knicks team than what I saw last night. That was the best performance I've seen from this team all season long. And I mean that. I mean that with every bit of my being. Like, the Knicks played their hearts out last night. They played the best style of basketball I've seen. You saw Jalen Brunson going off. You saw Karl-Anthony Towns going off. You saw OG Anunoby pitching in. You saw Josh Hart playing phenomenal offense and defense, as always. Mitchell Robinson being crucial in the low post. Like, I have not seen a Knicks team play in the way that they did last. I've not seen a team play in the style of basketball that the Knicks played last night and lose. Just get their heart snatched. That's what it looked like. It looked like the city of New York got their heart snatched last night by Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers. Before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right back into it here. Sorry, we had to throw that quick. We had to do that quick little segment right there. But I mean it when I say the Knicks got their heart snatched last night. Part of me doesn't even like this title right here. Can the Knicks find a way to bounce back? The question really is, on my mind, that I want to tackle in this segment, was that did that game prove that the Knicks cannot beat the Pacers in a 7-game series? Because if that did not work, what can? 43 points from Jalen Brunson. 35 from Cat. I'm pretty sure OG Anunoby got into the 20-point range. If not, at least 16 for OG. 16 for Bridges. 16 for OG. Miles McBride with 9 points. Like, the guys on the New York Knicks stepped up and showed up to the best that they could. Like, OG Anunoby, 6 of 15. He didn't shoot the ball from 3 as well, but 43, when you have two guys on the Knicks that go off and combine for 83 points. No, I can't do math. Sorry. 78 points. 78 points. When they combine for 78 points and you lose, you don't win. You lose. I don't know what you do. I haven't seen two guys combine for that many points and lose a game. I don't blame the Knicks' depth. I don't blame Jalen Brunson. I don't blame Cat. I'm sitting here at this monotone because I cannot. I'm trying to just put into perspective. I cannot think of a way that the Knicks could have played a better game than they did last night. Unless you want every guy on the team to score 30 points and have Brunson with 35 and the rest of the guys with 20. And it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Because Cat had 35. Even if the other guys scored 16, 35 is what cancels it all out. Yeah, OG could have had 20 points and one made it a little bit better. Mikal Bridges could have had closer to 20 points. It could have been better. But at the end of the day, it's basketball. And unless, like, you're having a crazy shooting night, the Pacers, I don't believe, had the craziest shooting night. I can check. I don't believe they did. But this was just a wild game all around. This was a wild game. If you're the Knicks, I don't know how you can bounce back from this. Like, the Pacers shot 40% from three. They shot 51% from the field. The Knicks shot the exact same percentage. The Knicks had more free throws. The Knicks had more rebounds, more offensive rebounds, more blocks, more steals. I think the one thing that I did notice, that's not listed here that I just remembered actually. I remembered looking at the box score on NBA.com. The Pacers outscored the Knicks on points off turnovers 27-4. And do you know where that started from? The fourth quarter. I'm not sure. I hope this doesn't happen. But there is a world that the Pacers just figured out the entire Jalen Brunson experiment in New York. How to defend it. And I honestly think they might be the only team that can do it. Maybe outside of OKC. What makes the Pacers different than every other team in the NBA is their depth. The way they can have 10 guys deep that can go have double digits, that can score 10 plus points a game. They can have multiple guys come off the bench and score 10 plus points a game. They have incredible two-way players. They're led by Tyrese Halliburton on the offensive end, but they have Nembhard for defense, Aaron Nesmith, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, even Halliburton has some steals every now and again. He's good he's a good two-way player. He's not, obviously his defense doesn't match up with his offense, but he's a good two-way player. So when you're analyzing this game, when you're looking at both sides of the coin, it's just tough to sit here and say, this is on the Knicks. The Knicks sold the game. They failed to win this, that, and the other. It's the Knicks' fault. I can't do that. In 95% of the situations that this happens in, you see another team collapse. You see another team just simply outplay you. But this was the Knicks just continuing to play their game, continuing to hit shots down the stretch. And then it was the Pacers side that turned up the heat on the defensive end and then just went lights out in the fourth quarter offensively. I sit here right now just saying, I don't know if the Knicks can find a way to bounce back because I don't know if they can play a better game than they did last night. I don't see it. I don't think, and the longer that this series goes on for, the more it falls in favor of the New York Knicks. Of the Indiana Pacers. Why? Well, because of their depth. Because the Knicks go 5-man deep specifically for 35 to 40 minutes a game. And then the Pacers go 10-man deep or 8-man deep into their rotation and give their starters 30 to 35 and then their bench guys 10 to 15 minutes a game. When you are able to give your bench guys 10, 15, 20 minutes a game like Obi Toppin did last night, you have a significant advantage over the opposing team. And I think the only team that can match up with them in this stat is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And part of me thinks that's the series that we're going to get in the finals. Even though I want the Timberwolves, I think the Timberwolves can do it. I think Anthony Edwards has that chance, and we'll talk about that in the next segment. I really think this series belongs to the Pacers. And last night was just a sneak peek maybe into what to expect. I feel bad for every Knicks fan out there because this might be the worst matchup that they could have gotten. They could have gotten the Cavs, they got the Celtics, they got the Pistons, they could have gotten the Bucks. But I said it from the beginning before the playoffs started. The Indiana Pacers are the biggest dark horse in the Eastern Conference to knock off both the Celtics and or the Knicks. And or the Cavs. They knocked off the Cavs. The Knicks knocked off the Celtics. but the Pacers were always the best team outside of those top two. And even now, I'm pretty sure I had an argument that I was like, I think it's Celtics, and then Cavs and Pacers are pretty close with one another before the playoffs started. I don't remember exactly, but there might have been there might be a clip of me out there that said that. But I don't think the Knicks can bounce back in this series. I will be watching Game 2 intensely. We need to see a pretty much replica of what we saw in Game 1 from the Knicks. I don't know what you do to stop the Pacers, but I don't know how you can stop the Pacers. I don't know. You can't match up with their pace of play. You can't shoot the ball to the level that they can. You can't. They swarm you on the defensive end of the on the defensive end of the ball. Just like I don't know what to do. I don't know what you do. I'm flabbergasted right now. I was flabbergasted last night, and I still don't know what I saw last night. I was sitting there watching it like 108-92, timeout Pacers, 6.5 minutes to play. Sitting there like, wow, the Knicks are about to win Game 1. Part of me in the back of my head was like, no way the Pacers come back. But like, that was the back of my head. Obviously your instinct is there's 6.5 minutes to play, down by 16. You're not going to come back. Not the way that Cat was shooting the ball, not the way that the Knicks were playing basketball. They were playing unbelievably. And they still did down the stretch of that game. It was just the Pacers just played better. I don't know. I'm still flabbergasted. We might just have to come back to this tomorrow when we're previewing Game 2. I think that's the only way we can go about this. But yeah, I'm gonna put a pin in this right here. We'll resume this conversation tomorrow because I promise we will talk about this more tomorrow. But I'm gonna take another short break. Coming up next, we're gonna switch gears from the recapping part of the show to the previewing, because tonight we got Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Oklahoma City Thunder. A series that I'm really still looking forward to. And I have to give an apology to Anthony Edwards, like I said at the top of the show. And I will. But yeah, we'll preview Game 2 between these two teams in the next segment. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we talked about the New York Knicks side of things last segment. We're switching from the recapping of Game 1 last night to the previewing of Game 2 tonight between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Oklahoma City Thunder. Right off the bat, I want to issue an apology to Anthony Edwards, because I said, how do you have a performance like you did in the second half? Because I pretty much did. I thought Anthony Edwards had his worst game of his playoff career in Game 1, at least in the second half of Game 1. I apologize. I did not see his injury. I was not aware that he got injured in Game 1. I was not aware of that until actually right after the show. And, yep, but I wanted to just start things off and give an apology to him because that was a little too much. I wasn't going overboard with it, but obviously when you're hobbled with an ankle injury, we've seen Jason Tatum struggle in game sevens, for example. A big thing you got to know with me, as I'm a Boston Celtics fan, and we've seen pretty much every bad thing that can happen ever to us. So I like to tie a lot of these things back to my core memories, which is usually when it comes to basketball, the Celtics. But I know other basketball as well, obviously. But for the Timberwolves' sake of things, no. Let's start with the Thunder. The Thunder are going to continue to play the way they did in Game 1. What they did in Game 1 was dictate the pace, push the pace as much as possible, force the Timberwolves to match up with it, pick up Anthony Edwards from full court as well, always having constant pressure on him, and force a player like Julius Randle, Jade McDaniels, Naz Reid to beat you instead of Anthony Edwards. That was the goal for this team. And honestly, it pretty much worked to perfection for them in the second half of Game 1. And that's how they pulled away. But I think the double big situation that the Thunder have been using, are continuing to use, with Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren on the floor together at the same time, I think that's paying dividends for them on the offensive glass. And it's a big reason why the Timberwolves have not had as much success in this series like they did in the last two. What they did to the Lakers, they bullied them on the offensive glass. They got extra opportunities. What they did to the Warriors, pretty much the exact same thing. They were hitting more shots in the Lakers series than the Warriors. And, of course, the Warriors were hobbled without Steph Curry. But the Timberwolves continued to take advantage of that in that series as well. In this series so far, it's already come out as an issue for them to deal with. I thought the only team that could deal with them was with the Thunder's double big was the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic. And we saw him having 40-point, 20 rebound games for a reason. So I think if the Thunder continue to play to their strengths, SGA leading the group, Jalen Williams continuing to show up as a number 2 option for the team, Chet Holmgren still playing phenomenally on the offensive glass. If they continue to play the way they did in Game 1, I think they'll be okay. And I say I think for a reason. Because on the Timberwolves side of things, obviously I still think Anthony Edwards is going to have a massive game tonight. I really think so. I also think we're not going to see Boston Celtics Minnesota Timberwolves sighting with 51 3-pointers. I still cannot believe that stat. 2/3 of the Timberwolves shots in Game 1 were 3-pointers. 2/3, over 66%. So I don't know what else to say outside of that, because that was pretty much the end. That's why they lost Game 1. That's a big reason why they lost Game 1. But when it comes down to it, I definitely think the Timberwolves need to respond. They need Jade McDaniels. They need another guy to step up with Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards. We saw Naz Reid struggle. We saw Jade McDaniels struggle. We saw Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker struggle. Your leading scorer outside of Edwards and Randle was Jade McDaniels with 9 points. 9. I don't know what else to say outside of you're not going to win a game in that fashion. Not against a Thunder team like this. Not against a deep team like this. Look no further than the New York Knicks as to why the two guys scoring a heavy amount of points doesn't work. At the same time, it was 43 and 35, so sometimes it just offsets the other guys when they play at a high level to that caliber. But on the Timberwolves side of things, it was 28 for Julius Randle and 18 for Anthony Edwards. So it's a different situation entirely for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves just need to play group basketball once again. They need to play their style. They need to slow down the pace. What the Thunder did in the second half was push the pace, and speed up the Timberwolves offense. What they did, they sped up the Timberwolves offense, got back in transition, and would just pick off passes. We saw SGA do it. We saw Jalen Williams do it. We saw Lou Dort do it. Alex Caruso did it a bunch. They look like cornerbacks out there. It really did. It looked like a game of NFL with somebody playing quarterback, throwing it down the court, playing transition, and it just didn't work. The Thunder players just saw it. They read every pass every single time. Why? Because they got chances. They can go 10-man deep into their rotation, so they get the opportunity to do so. When you go 10-man deep into your rotation, you give more rest to your starters. You give guys ample rest in general on the bench. So come that fourth quarter, they have more juice in their legs, and they have more energy in general to win the game, to close out the game. So I think if you're the Thunder, you continue to play the game that you've been playing, like you did in game 1. If you're the Timberwolves, you have to switch it up. You have to. There's no questions asked. The Timberwolves need to play their style of basketball. It starts with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards needs to be the leader of this team. I know he got injured. And I'm so sorry that he did, because this is a common theme in this year's playoffs with players getting injured and missing time, and it being an issue in series. For example, Steph Curry in the last round against the Timberwolves. But I think the Timberwolves will come out firing in game 2 tonight. I really think Anthony Edwards will dictate the show. I would not be shocked if he had 30 to 40 points. I really wouldn't. I kind of expect it from Anthony Edwards tonight, because he hasn't had that sort of performance since really the Lakers Timberwolves series, like 3 weeks ago now. Wow, it's been 3 weeks since that happened. But this is what I'm talking about. The Timberwolves want to respond. It starts with Anthony Edwards. Julius Randle needs to continue to play at the level he is, and I believe he will. He'll still have about 20 points in the game. But outside of those two, another guy must show up. Jade McDaniels, Naz Reid, Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, even Rudy Gobert. One of the 5 must show up. Have to have 15 plus points in tonight's game. If the Timberwolves can do that, they have a chance to win. I really think they do. But if they don't, they could find themselves down 2-0 in this series, which honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing. It's not a death sentence if it's not a death sentence if you're the Timberwolves. But that means that the Thunder only need to win one of 2 games to pretty much go up 3-1 and ice this series, because you're not coming back 3-1 against this team. It's just not going to happen. So I think if you're the Timberwolves, you want to win tonight. It's not must win, but you want to win tonight. You got to think of tonight like a game 5. Like it's a momentum. It's a difference maker. If you win tonight, it's 1-1 going to Minnesota. Changes the game entirely. If you're down 2-0, it continues to build pressure on the Timberwolves at home on their home floor in a game 3 that they must win then. So, yeah, I think my prediction for this game, as much as I want to say Timberwolves so bad, my prediction for this game is I really want the Timberwolves to win, and I think I have to. This is the same. My brain tells me Thunder. My heart tells me. My gut tells me Timberwolves. Not even my heart, because I'm not a Timberwolves fan, but my gut tells me Timberwolves, because I think Anthony Edwards is going to show out tonight. I really think he will. It is actually like impossible. I don't know. I don't know. Wow. I'm actually dumbfounded. I can't pick a team. I think I have to roll with the Timberwolves. I have to roll with my gut. Timberwolves winning winning game 2, bringing the series back to Minnesota, tied 1-1 apiece. I'm rolling with it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will show up tonight. I don't doubt that. But I think the rest of the guys on the Timberwolves will have a bounce back game. I really think so. So I'm rolling with the Timberwolves to win game 2 and go back to Minnesota in a 1-1 series. That's my take, and I'm going to put a pin in it there. We'll be back right here tomorrow as well at 9 a.m. to recap that game. And I can't wait for this game as well. But I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, we're going to discuss the Oklahoma City Thunder star, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, winning the MVP award. The 2024-2025 MVP goes to SGA. And we'll recap that. We'll congratulate him for that, as well as discuss what it would mean if SGA won the NBA championship, won the NBA Finals MVP, and won the regular season MVP like he just did. What would it matter to his career, and how would it alter how we look at him in terms of NBA rankings? So we'll discuss all of that in the next segment. But you're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to continue to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. And specifically, we're not going to talk about the playoffs, actually. Well, we will a little bit, but in not the exact way you're thinking. SGA wins the regular season, officially has been awarded the 2024 Kia Most Valuable Player Award in 2024-2025. Honestly, this is what, especially after he beat Nikola Jokic in the playoffs. Even before that, we knew what was going to happen. But I think that was just the icing on the cake that kind of just hit it home. They couldn't announce the MVP award winner during that series, obviously, because both MVP candidates are playing each other. But I think regardless of what happened in that series, I think it was going to SGA regardless. SGA has been the best player in the league, has been the most, well, maybe not the best player, has been the most valuable player on the best team in the NBA 2 years in a row. Last year, I don't think he should have won it over Jokic. I'm happy that Jokic won it over him. But this year, I have no question with SGA being over Jokic. Even though I think Jokic is still the best player in the league right now, with how he played throughout the NBA playoffs, with how he played throughout the regular season when Mike Malone was their head coach. We saw after Mike Malone was fired that we saw his offensive efficiency kind of take a little bit of a slip. And I still don't know what that's about. Whether that's a new scheme with David Adelman, whether that's Jokic just being upset, whatever that might be, I'm not sure. But the MVP award should have gone to SGA regardless of how that Nuggets Thunder series went in the second round. It's just icing on the cake that SGA won it. It just proves why SGA deserves to win the MVP this year and why the Thunder are a better team than the Nuggets this year as a whole. But yeah, that's just my take on the MVP award. But going further into the question being asked during this segment. Would a championship give SGA the title of best player in the NBA? Let me tell you guys something really quick. Do you guys know that the last time a player was able to win regular season MVP, win the championship and win Finals MVP, the last time that happened was 2013 with LeBron James. It was LeBron who did it the last time. This is what we're comparing SGA to right now. This is the type of success that we're seeing out of this guy. And it's starting to become apparent. Like, it was already apparent through the regular season, because when you look at SGA, you look at finesse, you look at perfection, you look at polished NBA play. When you look at an NBA player, and if you're let me just give an example. Say I had a younger son, and he said, "Who should I base my game off of? Who is the player that you want me to look at and say, go play like that guy?" You know who it would be? Depending on if he's a center, if he's tall or whatnot. But if he's just like a casual, young, shorter wing player, I would say nobody other than SGA. Why? Because SGA he has athleticism, he has talent. Don't get me wrong. But when you watch him play, he does not base his play off of talent alone. And a lot of it the majority of it is not talent. A majority of what SGA brings to the table is his footwork, is his shooting, is the way he's able to play with his back to the basket, hit fall-away jumpers. He plays like a younger KD that used to play in OKC. If you guys remember the days of the Slim Reaper that we used to call Kevin Durant back in the day. That was literally his nickname, the Slim Reaper. His fall-away jumper, his ability to attack the basket, the way he made everybody around him better. Even though you could say Russell Westbrook was the point guard of that team, Kevin Durant was the primary scorer of that team. And SGA fills a similar role to what SGA plays a mixed role between Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, even though he doesn't get as many rebounds as Russell Westbrook did and isn't as much of a utility guy. SGA is the shooter that Kevin Durant was. He really is. This is the most pure shooter, at least from the mid-range. I've never seen a guy that has a sweeter, softer touch off the rim than SGA. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. So SGA deserves a lot of props in the world, a lot of credit. But if that happens and he wins the NBA championship this year, he'll most likely win the NBA Finals MVP as well. If all these three things happen, I don't know if we can doubt him. I don't know if we can doubt him as not being the best player in the world. Because that's the resume of the best player in the world. Currently, the best player in the world is Nikola Jokic. And I don't think a lot of people would argue that. Nikola Jokic is obviously the best talent in the NBA right now. The best player, continues to play at the highest level. He's going to go down as a top 5 center in NBA history. He really is. He's already, for me, in my top 10 players all time. He has 3 regular season MVPs. He has a championship. He has a finals MVP. Like, it's just hard not to put him there. But with the championship, with the finals MVP, I think SGA catapults himself over Jokic. I think it has to be. He has to. He has to. Just resume alone, it's just too strong to compare to the eye test. The eye test comes into the conversation after the resumes get sorted out. If the 2 resumes are really close, that's when the eye test is the tiebreaker to see who's better than the other. And even then, that's when debate starts. As much as I think this will still be a debate, I think people would agree that SGA is the best player in the world if he wins the championship. If not, I think it still goes to Jokic, just because I think Jokic is that guy, and I think he can play. He's one of the best players in the league. He is probably the best player in the league, regardless. But SGA would get it done. SGA, he's just a phenomenal player. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. The way he makes the guys around him better, the way he shoots the ball, the way he makes the offense run. and then the teammates that he has around him to maximize his success defensively, to have not options, but have to have weapons on the outside for pick and pop shooting. If he gets double teamed, if he goes down the lane and he gets double teamed, he can kick out to a guy on the outside to knock down a three. This is what the Oklahoma City Thunder do. This is their style of basketball, and they play in transition. I don't think there's a team out there that can match up with that. I really don't. I think that's just the level that the Oklahoma City Thunder are on right now. And I think these two guys are going to continue to play at that level. I think SGA is going to continue, and he's incredibly young. He's only 24 years of age, I believe. He's incredibly young. He has a lot of time left in the NBA, and he's going to continue to play at that high level. But in terms of, he's 26, just entering the prime of his career. But in this conversation, if Shea wins the championship, he is the best player in the league, period. I just don't think it can be discussed. I don't think it can be disputed. It's only happened 15 times in NBA history. It happened much more back in the day, but with the parity of the NBA today, I'm not shocked. I think it would just catapult him into another into another stratosphere. Because it doesn't happen in today's day anymore. It just doesn't. But yeah. I think SGA needs to continue to play at a high level if the Thunder want to win game 2 as well. I'll just throw that in there. But I think that pretty much sums up the segment. I wish I had a little bit more to talk because I need a couple more minutes, but would championship give SGA the title for best player in the NBA? Yeah, it would. I'm going to put a pin in it there. It is what it is. I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to recapping the rookie team that was just announced. I wish there was a little bit more to talk about, and sometimes this is what we get with this time of year. The playoffs are winding down. The offseason hasn't fully rolled around yet. We haven't fully heard a lot about what some teams are interested in terms of the offseason. But yeah, we'll recap. In the next segment, we're going to recap the 2024-2025 rookie teams that just got announced. But yeah, you're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to switch gears over to the NBA rookie teams that were just announced. We're going to recap both rookie teams and discuss any shockers, anything that just surprised us. Regardless, we'll get into everything because there were two teams, the first team and the second. We'll recap both of those as well. But I apologize. I definitely should have had the lists up. That's my fault. But when we're talking about this process, we remember back in the day, the John Morants and the Zion Williamsons, when this was more of not just a conversation, but just like a debate of who falls in where. it was in the rookie groups were much more competitive. This year, it was not much. We didn't get as much of that. I'm not gonna lie. We saw a much more, a much closer rookie class. A lot of guys that were kind of very similar to one another. We didn't see any standout players. Of course, we saw Steven Castle take a big leap, but outside of him, well, let's go down the list. Obviously, speaking of him in the first team, we have to give credit where credit is due. Steven Castle being labeled as the point guard for the team. You know how I'm gonna switch this up. I'm gonna name all 5 guys for the first team, recap, and then second team, same thing, recap. And then I'll give my perspective on who I think might have gotten stubbed in here and whatnot. First team, Steven Castle at the point guard. Zachary Richard at the shooting guard. Jalen Wells at the small forward. Zach Edey at the power forward. And Alex Sarr at the center. That's your 5-man lineup right there for the first team. I don't like it. I mean, I don't like it. No, I don't hate it. That's what I meant. I like it. I think Steven Castle absolutely deserves to be there. I think Richard is a great young player. Jalen Wells, we wish nothing but the best for. We saw he had a scary injury against the Hornets a couple months back. Being announced that he just fractured his wrist, sustained a small concussion, but outside of that, looking like he's going to be okay. So we wish him nothing but the best and hope that his rehab process is going well. Zach Edey took a big step forward, especially in the playoffs. We saw him play at a high level. I don't know how much I'd like that pick. I'll explain when I discuss the second team, and you'll see exactly what I mean. But Zach Edey's a great player. I think he's a great young player. 2 Grizzlies, actually, on the rookie team, funny enough. And then Alex Sarr, obviously playing phenomenal basketball as well. So that's your 5-man group in the first team. And honestly, a young group, a group of guys that have honestly, Steven Castle is probably the only one that we know exactly where he's going. I think Jalen Wells can blossom into a valuable third option for the Grizzlies. And I think Richard is still building his resume with the Atlanta Hawks, and he's going to be there for a while as well. So I like the first team. The only player I don't know how much I like at his position in the first team is Zach Edey. And let's get into that right now. For the second team, you have Matas Pusilis at the point guard, Bub Carrington, Donovan Clingan, Kalel Ware, and Yves Misi. Now, I won't lie. I'm sorry, this is going to look really bad, but there are a couple of these players I don't know. I'm pretty sure Bub Carrington I know because of his days he's with the Washington Wizards, and I'm pretty sure he had a game-winning shot against the Miami Heat. So that was, of course, Bub Carrington, that's the only guy that comes to mind. Donovan Clingan, obviously the center not the center, he used to play, did he play power forward? I thought he played power forward for the UConn Huskies. He might have played power forward. I believe the Trailblazers moved him to small forward. But Clingan obviously playing phenomenal basketball in Portland. He hasn't played, there's been a couple 20-point games that he's had. He's kind of a quieter career over there, but he's figuring it out. He's playing good basketball right now. He just needs time to continue to grow with the rest of the team, and we know he will. The Portland Trailblazers just aren't working with as much as you think. Scoot Henderson. There's another player over there that I can't remember his name right now. Regardless, Portland Trailblazers are just a team that they don't have a lot going for them right now. That's just a simple truth. So, yeah, I mean, who's the guy that I'm thinking of? I don't know. Regardless, Donovan Clingan playing good basketball. The player that I think that should be over Zach Edey, I think Kalel Ware got snubbed here. I think Kalel Ware should be in Zach Edey's spot. I think Kalel Ware played phenomenal basketball for the Miami Heat and was a big paint presence with Bam Adebayo. I think the two of them were a big reason why they had success that got him into the play-in tournament, that got him into the playoffs, frankly, I think he was a big piece of the team. So Khalil Ware, I think, should be over Zach Edey personally, but that's my only critique with this list. And Yves Missi continued to play at a high level as well. In terms of being snubbed, I don't know where we would put him, but an honorary mention we have to give to Jordan Strother. The man on the Denver Nuggets, he had a big playoff game in Game 6. Yeah, he had 15 points in that Game 6, hitting big threes down the stretch against the Thunder in the second round again in Game 6. Even though it's a regular season award, I think Strother got snubbed a little bit. I think he's going to be a big piece of the team in this next year. I think him and Jalen Pickett are both going to be big pieces. They're going to have bigger roles coming off the bench for this Nuggets team in the regular season next year. We'll see how they take strides, but he's my honorary mention. He could have been put over Bub Carrington, but obviously, I don't know. You can flip a coin for it, personally. I like both of them. But yeah, I'm going to leave it on. I think that pretty much sums it up right there. That's the two rookie teams. And yeah, I mean, I think the two biggest names that stand out to me, I think, on this list that I think are going to have big breakout seasons next year. Well, one of them I'm pretty sure about, and Steven Castle. I think he's going to come out massive next year for the Spurs, depending on who they draft. It looks like they're going to draft DJ Harper out of Rutgers. If they do, I think that would just continue to stifle the Spurs team, especially when Wembanyama comes back. If they add Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But I think Steven Castle is going to take the biggest leap out of all these guys. I think a dark horse to watch is Jalen Wells, because I think the Memphis Grizzlies could blow up that team in Memphis right now. I think they could trade. I think John Morant's most likely going to get traded this offseason. I wouldn't be shocked if Jaren Jackson Jr. goes with him, and I think they're going to continue. They're going to build the team around Jalen Wells and Desmond Bane moving forward. That's just my take on it. I'm not 100% sure how it's going to go down, but I think I'm like 65, 70% sure that John Morant's on his way out this offseason. So I think Jalen Wells could take some big strides forward in the regular season next year. That's just my take. I like Jalen Wells a lot as well. He's a great young two-way player that can play both sides of the ball. He deserves a lot of credit, and I think he's going to get it next year. But yeah, I'm going to leave it on that note. We saw a phenomenal Game 1 last night between the Knicks and Pacers. We have a phenomenal Game 2 lined up between the Timberwolves and Thunder. A lot to discuss over the next 24 hours. And if you guys have some time, if anybody's watching this show and did not watch the highlights of last night's game between the Knicks and Pacers, do me a favor, hit pause. I'll be here. You guys can come back to this video, go onto YouTube, click the last 6.5 minutes of that game, and go watch it. I cannot preach enough how that was probably the best game of the playoffs so far. Easily, that was the best game of the playoffs so far. In my opinion, I think it was one of the best. Easily, it deserves to be in the conversation. But yeah, we got Game 2 of that series tomorrow, and we'll preview that series as well tomorrow. But yeah, Game 2 between Timberwolves Thunder later tonight at 8:30. Be sure to tune into that. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to leave a positive review in the comments below. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon, so we can continue to give you guys a better product, a better show every time we hop on live for you guys here. At least for me, I appreciate it a bunch, and I know my colleagues love it as well. If you guys have any questions, any takes after the show, be sure to leave it in the comments below as well, and I'll make sure to both answer those comments or I'll either answer them or I might even add them to my list of questions to tackle tomorrow, and I'll give it a segment just because of you. So you guys are a big part of what we do here in the show. at the GSMC Sports Network, and we appreciate you guys as always. For more content and updates, be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. This is your host, Mehrob Fatemi, the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. Happy basketball, Knicks Pacers. Find your Knicks fans out there. Give them your condolences. We wish them nothing but the best. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days, and we'll be back here once again at 9 a.m. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to